got my interest in the first place is when I was with CEMA, the Cumulative Environmental Management Association. So I lobbied, tried to get, a study going on that, because from what we could find out, there's no information in most of northern Alberta on these certain clams. So we applied for funding, and we finally did in 2017. We got funding, but it was late, very late in the season by the time we got the funding through, and we were freezing our hands in there, because when the water gets to a certain temperature, don't take much. They're very touchy, and they dig in. That's where they stay for the winter. But we're out there in October. So we didn't get much done that year, but 2018 was pretty successful for us. We did find quite a few clam beds, most especially on the Clearwater River. And we take water samples, take sediment samples, and live samples, of course, which go to the lab, and then we find out what's in these clams. There's 30-some different trace metals and stuff like that. What's the higher concentration, say, of mercury on the Clearwater to the Athabasca River. It's not really the clams, and then it is the clams, because it always crossed my mind. There used to be a lot of them. You could go swimming and you'd be stepping on them, actually. This project, it's a unique project, and it's probably the first of its kind with Western science and traditional knowledge to work as one. Because, the indigenous knowledge, we know just about as much about these clams as the Western scientists do, because there's not much known about them. So we're all learning together. That's what makes it so unique. Well, again, it was always our outlook to have youth involved, and the elders, and of course the Western scientists. We all work together with this. It's a huge project. It's going to take years before we get any results. It's impossible to get results bang like that. We're not going picking berries where you can pick a bunch of berries and send them out to the lab and see what's in them. Even to find these clams is hard. There's many things that hold us back on this project. If the waters are too high, we can't get access to where we want in order to look for these critters. Then again, we go to funding. You get your funding too late. The prime season you have to have the right water and the right water temperature. Which is, usually July and August, where you have the warmest temperatures in the waters, and they come up to the surface. What effect do the clams have on the Athabasca River? Well, actually, it's a different question again. What effects do the Athabasca River has on the clams? That has to be studied. We've only studied as far as the mouth of the Firebag River thus far. So all this has to be put together, and our findings. Again, we want to. Okay, are these clams healthier over the Clearwater River? Obviously they're not as healthy on the Athabasca River. And there's none in Gregoire Lake. It's the health of the waters. We want to find out how much mercury there is in there. And a lot of mercury and stuff like that is natural occurring substance, but then some of it's man-made. So that's why we do with the comparison. So down the road, it's going to be very important for for everybody to know, the health of the waters.
As Harvey explained, the work so far by the McMurray Métis has built a team of elders, youth, and Western scientists to study the clams. The team identified clam beds in the Clearwater River and looked for beds in the Athabasca River but did not find as many. Harvey explained some of the logistical challenges such as delayed funding, high water levels, or cold water temperatures, which hampered finding beds. We have our funding now and we are ready to go this season to look for more beds. The team established sampling protocols for water, sediment, and clam tissue and have collected data to inform a risk assessment, which we will use in our new phase of this study. We are shifting now to a cumulative effects assessment approach. We will describe the historic, current, and future state of the clams and clam beds in the Athabasca River. We'll continue to work with the Clam Study Team and other community members to define valued components for understanding the cumulative effects on clams and clam beds in the Athabasca River. We will be using a cumulative environmental and cultural effects model developed by McMurray Métis. McMurray Métis uses this model to identify community-based monitoring initiatives and to support participation in regulatory processes and policy development. Harvey mentioned that he raised the issue of where are the clams at the Cumulative Environmental Management Association many years ago. At this organization, during that time, they were focused on generating policy recommendations for surface water quality and surface water quantity management frameworks, which are now part of the Lower Athabasca Regional Plan. Our experience in the oil sands is that cumulative effects assessment is limited. The focus is generally on project applications, and McMurray Métis has had limited opportunity to contribute to defining valued components for cumulative effects assessment related to any of these project applications. This funding is extraordinary in that it gives the community the opportunity to define their own cumulative effects assessment for the clams. Currently, both federal and provincial governments are in the process of developing regulations for the release of water from the oil sands mines. In this map, we can see the oil sand mine footprints north of Fort McMurray. To orient everyone, Fort McMurray is at the very bottom of the map, close to the center. The Athabasca River flows north out of Fort McMurray, and mine footprints are on the east and west side of the river. The green shading are mines that are currently operating and approved. The brown and red shading are proposed mines. Each of these mines are currently, or will at some point in the future, produce oil sands processed water through the bitumen extraction process. Currently at operating mines, oil sands processed water is stored in tailings ponds, and both governments are working to develop policy to allow for the release of water, treated water, from the mines to reduce the volume of processed water contained on site. With this project, we plan to identify clam beds along the Athabasca River and evaluate how any future water release scenarios may impact the clams and clam beds, with the goal of minimizing any additional impact to the clams that may occur with new policy allowing for mine water release. Harvey is correct that years of monitoring are required. The end of mine life varies from 2033 to past 2068 for the different mines. It is possible that water release may be initiated in 2023 and continue for decades or even into the next century, depending on the end of mine life and closure timelines for each of the existing or any future mine.